and what is bearing. And what is bearing, I must prune it. It must bear more fruit. So my income is so-and-so, prune it, bear more. And so my way of life is so-and-so, prune it, so they become greater. And keep on pruning it. I don't judge these things as to the nature of the tree, but you prune it as you have the desire to prune it. And because the whole vast world is yourself. For he said, you have no life unless you are rooted in me. When you hear the distress of the extended you, then you prune that barren area. And in your own mind's eye, you feel that they are as they ought to be. And then, like my friend's mother who recognized the harvest, when the son called from Toronto, he hadn't gone AWOL. Had he not returned, he would have. But he returned, went into the army to face the noble count of being an American. In 1942, I didn't volunteer. My son volunteered at the age of 17 in the Marine Corps, right after Pearl Harbor. And he was in Guadalcanal. And I had a little girl, she was only a matter of months. She was born in June, and they drafted me in November. It's a little Chinese child. But I didn't oppose it. All right, that's part of the country. I didn't know what the devil I could give, because I'm not given that way. But maybe they could use me to say prayers for them or something. And then they finally resolved the whole thing, and I was used to talk to the boys on first aid. I know nothing of first aid, but at least I could speak. So here's a book. Take the book, memorize it, and then we'll bring a company in one after the other, and you teach the men on first aid. Well, I could memorize the book quickly. So they'll come in, and I talk to them on first aid. Knew nothing of first aid. But at least if the book was correct, I could tell them what the book said. But I'm telling you what the book says. That I am the true vine. And my Father is the vine dresser. And I and my Father are one. And the eternal vine is the human imagination. And all things come out of the human imagination. There is nothing in this world that is created, but it's created by the human imagination. Everything in the world. You may say, did the earthquake come out? Yes, it did. Everything comes out of the human imagination. These are only pressures built up by man's own wonderful human imagination, and they must be released. You build a pressure, and it's released. Because not a thing is creating anything in this world but God, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. But do not treat it as something you must simply once a week observe, or once a day, or once a year. Every moment of time you observe what you are imagining, because what you are imagining you are creating, morning, noon, and night. And prune your tree all through the day, and it will become a habit, and you'll prune it all through the night. And then in the not distant future, he who is the eternal vine will awaken, and you are he. And you'll know he is God the Father, because God's only begotten Son will stand before you and call you Father. And you will know he is your Son, and he will know you are his Father. And there'll be no uncertainty as to this relationship. And everything said in Scripture concerning him, you are going to experience. Now let us go into the silence.